what the tattoo means. My daughters are inked, and I'm a ninny, you know, I'm a very phobic, needle phobic. So when they asked me to get a tattoo, it was my way of showing my commitment and that I want to bond with them. And the two symbols are two symbols that I said, it's got to be something you can live with and you can die with, because it is permanent. So I always joke about it, half joke to women who are thinking about tattoos. And I say, never ever commit a man's or a woman's name on a body part. You might have to amputate that limb or something when you change your mind. So the tattoo, the top sign is for motherhood, in the shadow of the mother, because that's the role that I feel means the most to me. And the one below is for the positive female energy in the cosmos, the feminine principle, because that's again what defines me in every which way. So.
You may not answer this question or how? Acha. Acha. How do you react to Arundhati Roy?
I think she is one of the most talented writers that we have seen in contemporary times.
But you know, she hasn't written anything after the first book, and she's gone into activism par excellence.
But that is her choice as a thinking person. And I think she puts her opinions where her mouth is and her pen is, and stands by them and defends them. Whether you agree or not, she has the right to say them and state them.
As a struggling writer, I often get writer's block. Do you ever get it, and how do you get over it?
Well, you know, writer's block is self-indulgence, really. You have no business to get it, because writing is a discipline like any other, like a craft. And I'd like to sort of demystify it a little. You don't have to go to the top of the Himalayas and wait for lightning and inspiration to strike. You just have to say, this is my job, this is my vocation, and get on with it. And to everybody who asks me this, I have a very simple mantra, which is, you can call yourself a writer if you write every day of your life. It's like Riyaz. It's like a trained vocalist, a singer or a musician or a painter. The more you paint, the better you get at it. The more you rehearse and your voice, you train your voice, the better you are as a singer. And it's the same thing with writers. They must write every day. It could be 300 words. It could be, as a matter of discipline, I do 2,500 words a day, whether or not they're published. It is just my discipline. And I blog, I'm on Twitter, I write 4 columns a week, and I write my books. So it's a life consumed by the word. And I feel very lucky, very fortunate that I'm able to do it, and I hope to remain productive and challenging society's norms forever. इनके बाद.
Sorry.
She did raise a hand earlier.
शोभा, छोटे-छोटे से सवाल हैं, सवाल भी नहीं है, comments and asking you. What did you mean by strong writing? I'll complete the 3 and then you can give one by one. You kept saying strong, you know, like my books, they felt were very strong. Strong has so many connotations, you know.
Yeah.
Very racy or very, all of that can also be called strong. And the other women writers, socially, how do they react? Do they, now, I know it's been a sobering, long journey and everything. And I, who has really blatantly enjoyed when you did write those racy, as they call them, novels, and did not want my girls to read them till they were like, you know, and they were always stealing them. So I think that was a very interesting phase. Are you comfortable with us still referring to you as that woman writer who we really stole to read, who we found racy, rockers and raunchy and gossipy and not elated and not committed? And now that you are with women's issues, You want us to read you, your personality, your growth as a writer differently? Thank you.
You know, it's not my preoccupation or concern as a writer how I'm perceived. It is up to the reader to decide that. And I'm not there to give you a subtext of this is how you must read me. And everything that one writes has a certain validity at the point when it's written. What you are referring to are my early novels, which were already 20 years ago, which were definitely unapologetically raunchy, risque, erotic, and more. I had a matlab, a reason for doing that, because for centuries and centuries we were told by mainly male men who were, well, they were the only ones who could actually write and communicate their ideas and thoughts. For centuries, women didn't have that privilege. To be able to write about what I feel or women feel about their bodies, about sexuality, I wanted to challenge the status quo and write it and say, okay, what are you going to do with me? It was important for me to free myself as well as the women writers, much as I hate that term, who came later to say it's not just a male prerogative. So when I also wrote my book on India, there were similar reservations and similar compulsions for me, because cultures and histories are always, the narrative is always male, has always been. It's the victor writing about the country that's been defeated. Or a culture is reflected through, again, male eyes, because that's the way it's always been. When I wrote my book on India, it was a very passionate and personal journey, very critical of the country, also praising the country because I'm a proud Indian, I love my country, but you cannot be unconditional, you can't be, to use a Bombay term again, a lallu, about anything. No, not the man in your life, not your children, not your country, and these are the three things in my book which are the most important that define your personality. When I wrote that book, it was again the how dare she comment on the country, how dare she comment on things, why doesn't she just stick to raunchy books? I will stick to it if I choose to. I hope to write a raunchier book next. That's my choice.
You talked about writing, women writing, and all hell broke loose when you wrote Starry Nights and the other Bombay book. Ismat Chughtai has written about, and women writers before you, Qurratullain Haider, Rashid Jahan, Wajda Tabassum, Amrita Pritam, they all have written about socio-political, religious, psychosexual issues before you, and in a much more conservative language and to a much more conservative audience in Urdu. So, आपसे पहले बहुत लोग लिख चुके हैं और 1942 में लिहाफ publish हो चुका था, which created a stir. So what was so new? I'm a bit confused because you were writing in English to a different audience, to a younger audience, and they were writing back in 36.
That's right, yeah.
And so what was so new, which you wrote, जिसने इतना हंगामा खड़ा किया? Ismat Chughtai has written about Bombay film industry in detail, Bombay, about sexual issues as well.
Yes.
So,
no, we've always had
difference?
very powerful women writers in our regional languages, but their constituency was extremely restricted. It was very small. And even they, they also faced, well, you're talking about Ismat Chughtai, and I can't hear you actually. I was also referring to Kamla Das actually. She was the person I had most strongly in mind, a Malayalam writer.
Yeah, but Urdu wasn't a regional language.
Way ahead of her time. And so, you know, there have been women who've done it.
Yes.
But they've not done it. Their medium of expression was not English. With English journalism and English publishing taking off, the whole scenario was seen very differently. It's exactly why English channels are considered opinion makers. We've got hundreds of other channels. Why isn't that opinion reflected in the national consciousness? That's the way it is. It's lopsided, but there it is. That's how it is. So I'm not waving a flag for either women writers, Urdu writers, Malayalam writers. Of course, there have been writers, and they will continue to be writers. I was narrating a personal experience.
I was trying to talk to you before, but unfortunately it got cut. I was in Bombay 6 years ago. I was getting married in 2 weeks, and it was a marriage I didn't want to happen. And the guy on the street was selling a pirated copy of your book. And I'm not a big fan of your reading, I won't lie. I love your columns, but your books, I was like, whatever, they're not that great. So I bought the book saying, chalo, entertainment value hogi, interesting hogi. Kya kahegi? She most probably say, oh, you know, marriage is something, if it doesn't work, walk out, blah, blah. I bought Spouse. That book changed my perspective on marriage. I went in 2 weeks later to my marriage knowing, you know what? This is what I want. I may not understand it. I've been married for 5 years now. Me and Atif, I'm sure we have issues like a dozen. But I read that book most probably every once in a while because the things you said made a difference. You were very open about things. You were very old school, but you made it pertinent to our age. And your book made a difference to me. And I want to say thank you. It was great. I really, really enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry. Okay. I'd like to ask you, what is the yardstick that you use when you start to write a book? And are there any subjects which are taboo, which you will not write about?
I think the only subjects I wouldn't write about are subjects I know nothing about. I wouldn't do a book on nuclear physics. Other than that, you know, anything that is within my realm of understanding, I'd be happy to attack with gusto.
Shobhaa, I've read some of your books as well, and I was wanting to know what new books are we expecting in the coming years? And are they going to be as saucier and as daring? Or, I mean, can we have some idea of what you're planning?
Well,
and also, what inspires you to write apart from women? What are some things that trigger you to get into writing immediately?
Well, to answer your first question quickly, because I think we may be running out of time, and before we're chased out of this wonderful hall, the book is a novel. I've gone back to fiction after 13 years. It's a novel based on, there's rich material out there because it's based on a sleazy, oily, despicable politician in Delhi. So this is the first time I'll be occupying the skin of a man I truly detest. So that in itself is challenge number one. And also because the cast of characters on the subcontinent is so fascinating, I think there can be hundreds more novels inspired by the political scenario right here. So we have our material right here. It's just up to us to tap it or not, and I've chosen to do that. Let's see, I hope the reception to it is as enthusiastic. It should be out in the third quarter of this year.
I just want to announce that these will be our last two questions, if that's okay with Shobhaa.
Of course.
Okay, great.
Shobhaa, I have been reading your books ever since last many years. And as a mother, how have you found it comfortable to be able to write so continuously even when your kids were young? And because I'm a mother of 2.5-year-old boy, so I always find it a problem to concentrate on and being able to focus on writing when he is around me. So tell me this formula, how to be able to write besides being a mother.
You know, a 2.5-year-old boy is a tyrant. You don't stand a chance. So just wait for him to grow up. But basically what I'm saying is that the day I had my first child, which was 36 years ago, it was a very conscious decision to work from my dining table. I wish I could travel with my dining table because everything is on it. My papers, my files, my manuscripts, everything. And the day I took that decision, my life really turned around. I found I was using my time much, much better, much more productively. And on the subcontinent, we really don't have excuses. We have good help. and we have extended families, we have mothers-in-law, we have aunts and other family members who pitch in and support whatever it is that we wish to do. It's not easy, but I believe that all women are essentially born jugglers or tightrope walkers, acrobats. We are programmed to multitask, and we do it effortlessly and without making a song and dance about it. So if it's something that you really want to do, you can ignore the tyrant briefly and just keep at it. Or better still, I have a wonderful idea. Give him an iPad.
Okay, this will be our last question, and I would request everyone to remain seated until our panelists have left.
Hi, Shobhaa. Here. I'm asking a question on behalf of a 10-year-old who's a Bollywood fan, and he's too shy to ask the question himself. But he needs to know that you've been writing against Deepika and Sonam. When you write about Bollywood, you're writing against Deepika and Sonam, and what exactly do you hold against them?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. They're non-entities. They're doing their job, I'm doing mine. And it's, if they are in the public domain and it's a film is a dud, I have every right to say it's a dud. And she can call me whatever she wants on Twitter wars. That's cool too. I would never respond because it really doesn't matter. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. It's been a great, great session. Thank you again. Thank you.
She will be now at the book fair signing her books at Liberty. Please come there. Thank you very much.